Passionate Living on WBBZ TV is sponsored by the Aura Salt Cave, offering holistic services unique to the alternative health and wellness community. They're located at 6429 Transit Road in East Amherst, online at aurasaltcave.com. And Dr. Todd Shatkin, Western New York's leader in general and cosmetic dentistry, located at the Aesthetic Associates Center, 2500 Kensington Avenue, online at drtshatkin.com.
Hi, I'm Kat Miller. I'm excited to share this episode of Passionate Living with you as it's a truly magical show. We're going to meet a few people who will stir up your love of the outdoors and your excitement for music. First, we're going to join my friend Christopher Nyerges in Los Angeles, California for part 2 of a journey into survival. Christopher is a wildlife expert who's authored numerous books, been a guest and consultant for national television shows such as Naked and Afraid, The X Show, and many more, as well as guiding thousands of people for decades in survival and wildlife skills. Today, Christopher will give us some great tips on how to enhance our experience in the great outdoors. Next, we're going to meet a remarkably talented woman who not only shares her own passion with the world around her through her music, but who has also created a venue for musicians and audiences alike to experience music in a much more intimate setting. Lazara Martinez grew up in Cuba, where she became a world-class violinist. Her amazing journey is definitely one of passionate living. But first, join Samantha and Latshaw and me as we discuss activities to do now that the weather is getting warmer. So curl up and get comfy as we take a joy-filled adventure into passionate living. Welcome to this edition of Tea Time with Sam and Kat. And today, Sam, we have some fun things in store for people. But first, what type of tea did you bring for us?
I brought one of my favorites. Well,
Okay.
actually, they're all my favorites because I love tea. So this, I just brought, I'm sure you've had this before, mint tea.
I love mint tea. Oh, you know what I love? I love getting it fresh from the garden in the summertime.
Lovely.
And just taking the mint leaves and putting them in the hot water.
Could you mash it up a bit?
I do mash it up a little bit just to get more flavor out of it.
Yes. So mint, I love it because it's really good for like digestion as well. If you have like an upset tummy.
It is.
I don't have an upset tummy, but I just enjoy drinking it.
It's nice for breath. It's nice for a lot of different things. I love mint.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I can't wait to try it. This is
refreshing.
a very nice mint tea. I love this.
Yes.
Ooh, it's delicious.
So, speaking of refreshing, spring is here.
Thank heavens. Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung. And sometimes to the Northeast, it comes a little late, but
Yes.
it is here.
Right, wherever
Finally.
you are around the country, I'm sure you're going to be enjoying the great outdoors.
So there's so many things that come to mind when you think of spring. What are your favorite things to do?
Well, especially this, here, we have a time when people are still wanting to socially distance, but still get out of the house and do things. So we have a whole list of great ideas for you for the spring of what to do to get you out of the house. Sam, what do you have in mind?
Well, for me, when I think of spring, first we're a baseball family, big, huge baseball family. My dad's a huge baseball fan. My husband played college ball, so baseball is all the time in our house. And baseball starts in the spring. So for me, going out to a baseball game with the family, catching that first
nice.
game, is definitely just signifying spring is here and summer is around the corner. So, that's one of the things I look forward to.
That's a great idea. You know, another thing that I love is going to a farm because baby goats, baby sheep, all the babies are born in spring. And I love taking my niece. We love going out to the farms together and just seeing the little baby animals and petting them and having fun.
I too love going to the farm. It's actually just very relaxing petting the animals at the farm. It's so cute.
Yeah. What else do you do?
So another thing that I love to do, I can't do it so much now because being pregnant, I love to go hiking. My husband and I, we do that throughout the spring, throughout the summer, really until we just can't hike anymore and it gets too cold. And you know, one of my favorite places, we've gone multiple places throughout the country, but my favorite place is actually Devil's Hole in upstate New York.
Oh,
have you ever been?
Niagara Falls.
Yes.
I love it. It's so cool. Have you ever been there at dusk and you actually see the outline of the face of a devil?
Oh, I actually never caught it, but I have been, you know, caught many times in the rain. And then we just like seek refuge in one of the caves there, and it's just always so much fun. But you know, it just never gets old. It's such a gorgeous place. If you've never been to Devil's Hole, I definitely recommend it. It's just gorgeous. You oversee like the border as well with Canada, and it's just natural, gorgeous beauty.
So if you're not from Western New York and you're watching this somewhere else, make sure when you do come here to see Niagara Falls, a lot of people just go to see the sights in the mainstream. You know, here's the falls, you go on the Maid in the Mist, you do different things. But there are great areas around there to see that aren't in the mainstream that are just fabulous.
Yes, in upstate New York, in our area, we definitely have a lot of natural beauty.
Yeah. You know what else I love doing in the spring that I hadn't thought about and I've resurrected now, especially during these times, is going out with friends or family and doing a picnic and packing a great lunch, maybe a bottle of wine if you drink, or just a great refreshment.
Grape juice for me.
Yes, grape juice for you and baby Latchaw. And just spreading out a blanket near a beautiful place, near a creek or, you know, a lake, and having a wonderful picnic.
Yeah, there's something about a picnic that just makes you feel like, you know, it is spring, it's summer's around the corner. You just feel like, you know, there's so much fun to be had around the corner. And I can't remember honestly the last time I had a picnic, but it's definitely something that I'm going to look forward to do very soon.
Great. Well, there's some great ideas for this spring.
That was so much fun just talking about all the activities that we can do in spring. And, you know, please send us your thoughts and ideas. What do you love to do for spring?
Well, thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you, Kat.
So today I want to introduce a very special guest who is a dear, dear friend of mine from many lifetimes. Christopher Nyerges has written 22 books. He's been teaching self-reliance for over 45 years. Now, what do you teach at the School of Self-Reliance? You teach everything. Like I've seen you teach how to, like wild edibles, obviously, how to start fires, how to survive on the land if you're ever caught. I mean, it's quite a vast.
Well, I don't make an assumption that when the students come to us that they know anything, but I teach all of the botany skills, how to recognize plants for food, for medicine, plants for soap, for fiber. And then we teach specialized skills, weaving, making nets, make all the ways to make fire. We can do an 8-hour class on fire making, making shelters. We do some urban skills like how to reduce your bills at home, how, you know, like how to use less power, how to make solar cookers, what to do if you don't have a flush toilet. You know, we do some urban related things and discussions, like, because I do a lot on Zoom now. I hope to not keep doing that forever. Well, actually, I do hope to keep doing some online classes forever, but I want to be more back into the field. But many times people say, like when they take my class at the college, I ask them a lot of questions first about, you know, before I tell them things, I ask them questions, and people usually object. And they say, wait a second, you should be telling us. That's why we signed up for the class. I said, no, wait a second. If you start answering your own questions, you're gonna learn more intuitively, and you don't need to say that's what Christopher said.
Right.
So what I suggest is you go on short walks, Get to know what it's like being away from the trail if you've never done it. I mean, I know millions of people do it, but a lot of people who do it for the first time, who've done it for the first time with me, they're frightened. If you're walking in the woods and something looks suspicious, don't pretend that something bad's not happening, because bad things do happen too. So be alert, watch the shadows, watch your clock, stick to your plan. And then once you take all your gear, your lunch and so forth, and you've done a few trips, one of the ways you start to expand your skills is you could leave your knife at home. Take all your regular gear, but leave your knife at home and figure out a way to cut things or to scrape things or to cut your sandwich with a rock or with a piece of wood that you sharpen on a stone, or a piece of glass or a piece of plastic that you find that you abrade on the rock to get a sharp edge. So you're realizing that there are many ways to cut besides with your pocket knife. Or take all of your gear and leave your fire tools at home. Find a way to pick up the wood to make a bow drill or a hand drill on the trail. Or I always tell people, make a sport of looking for places that you could spend the night in if you had to, just to be observant. Maybe there's an old shack, maybe there's a thicket of trees where the rain isn't going to penetrate. So make a sport of these things. Like children, they make a game of it, because many of the survival classes that I took when I was a teenager, the guys, they wanted to be tough. You didn't want to ask a question twice because they laughed at you or they told you to be quiet. It's like you're in the military and you didn't know it. And children really weren't usually welcome, or they should be quiet. That's not what I try to do. I try to do a class that's family friendly. If you don't know the answer, I want to hear your question again and again until I ask you, and then you can teach the lesson.
Right.
Because if I have a full agenda and I take the whole time talking to you, Catherine, I say, Catherine, I want you to do this. Listen, take your notebook. I'm going to go through all my stuff, and then I'm going to try to make you feel impressed at how brilliant I am, but you're not going to remember any of it. It's better that you learn 2 or 3 good things, and you go home with that. So, I got that. I never understood that, but now I got it. That's far better than me going through my agenda of 100 things. Right?
I worked with a group back here years ago called Earth Spirit, and they were a nonprofit, and they would go into the schools and teach kids just basic tree identification, shelter building. I would do reptiles and amphibians and teach the kids about them. And then there was someone that would take them on a walk and teach them about basic edibles and different things. And I always thought that is such a vital course to have in every single school. And it's something, like you say, that we grew up with. My grandfather used to tell me things when we were out in the woods, or about plants and different trees. And it's lost in the last several generations. There is no connection. People are inside their houses, they're indoors. They maybe take a little walk in a park, and that's about the extent of it. And they have no idea what the trees are, what the plants are. And I really think that it's such an important skill to pass on to our children, to bring that kind of education back into schools, to just have the basics.
And I think the same is true with our natural environment. We are fearful of it, or we think of it as something to be conquered or destroyed or poisoned because we don't know it. One of the things that, like, a lot of the plants that I'm showing people are European non-natives. And so people think nothing of spraying Roundup and cutting it all down, but they're still all useful. Like nettle is everywhere. I drink nettle tea regularly if I have a congestion or hay fevers. And lamb's quarter is one of the most nutritious plants in the world. It's from Europe. And purslane from India, richest source of omega-3 fatty acids in a plant. So all of these are common weeds, but when you know them, suddenly you walk more carefully when you're walking through the landscape, because that could be lunch.
Right, exactly. Oh man, when I was up in Santa Barbara, I loved collecting the from the prickly pear cactus. I love the prickly pear.
The fruits.
Yeah, I would take the fruits and then I would process them and make prickly pear juice. And my girlfriend, Jaya, who grew up in Mexico City, they would take the pads and they would cook them. And she said, "Oh, we just throw them on the burner, and then the prickers come right off." And she was showing me how they did them, and it was so fun to explore this whole world out west of different plants than I grew up with.
Good for diabetes.
Oh, wow!
And now enough clinical studies have been done that they show that it is indeed good for adult onset diabetes if it's not too far progressed. And it's good for lowering cholesterol levels. So it is a way to eat your medicine.
It's so good on so many levels. They say even if you go out and have a few too many tequilas, if you drink them with a prickly pear, that you don't have the hangover the next day, because
that would never
healthy for you.
That would never happen with you, though, right?
Never.
Of course.
Christopher, thank you so much for being on the show today and for sharing your amazing wisdom with us. And I just love having you here.
Thank you for inviting me, and I hope we meet up again soon.
I hope soon. Take care.
All right.
I'm here with Lazara Martinez, and Lazara, you are an amazing woman. I could tell the moment I met you. But just the light in this place, how everybody that's here just has such a great time, and it just feels like you're home when you walk through the door. How did you end up doing this?
Well, it started as a partnership, and I became the sole owner in 2016. And it was always the idea of a house concert, you know, a small place where we can all gather. And I mean, we're now using amplification because we want to bring the sound out to the front room and to the patio when we open the patio.
Right.
But originally it was just acoustic music. And that's what happened. It's a very small space and people sit at the same level as the musicians. So people like that. There's no separation.
Right. It's very intimate.
Very intimate.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the idea of a small music house, you know, it's an art house.
That's what it felt like, a house concert. When I was out west, I used to go to house concerts all the time. My friends would have them. They'd have some great musician come in, and we'd all just bring food and drink and hang out at their house and listen to great music. And that's what it feels like here. Very homey, very relaxed. What was your passion behind doing this project?
Well, I'm a violinist.
Okay.
Myself, I was born and raised in Havana, Cuba. I went there to a music conservatory for 11 years. So from age 8, that's what I knew I was going to do. I was going to be a musician. And as a musician, the music is my passion. And we all musicians know that it's hard out there for us to get a nice venue, a concert that everybody wants to hear, a venue owner that treats us right. My main goal was to make this space also a home for the musicians. I used to open the concerts reminding people that it is a listening space, that we don't talk during the performance.
I loved that, by the way, when I was sitting there, that people weren't talking all through the music, because that is one of my pet peeves. You go out to hear music, and I know people want to socialize and have a good time, but there's a moment to talk and a moment to listen.
Did you wonder why no one was talking?
It was wonderful. I was like, this is heaven. Nobody's talking. I can hear the music and totally immerse in it.
Yes. I mean, we do a lot of jazz. It just happened that there are a lot of jazz musicians in Buffalo. But any band that approaches me, if they're good, they go. I have a concert that I'm performing on June 4th with a very old friend from grammar school in Havana, Cuba. He's a pianist, Michel Ferre. He will be doing the piano, I'll be playing the violin, doing some of my loops. It's a new project that I started last year, and I called it Havana Loops. And I just play the violin, and I play numerous small percussion instruments like clave and guiro and cajon and bells and shakers, and I just
That's great.
have a party on my own.
That's wonderful. Now, Lazara, these photographs are beautiful.
Yes, indeed, they are.
I see a few friends up here.
Yes, all musicians that have played here, and they are from Jack Sock. He's a local photographer. He claims that he's not professional, but
Oh, well,
who's professional,
exactly. Now, you did some music during the time of COVID with some friends from around the world, right?
I did there's a piece that I always liked from Chick Corea, Armando's Rumba, and he just passed away a couple of months ago.
Yeah, sad.
Right after, actually, I decided to do this. So I talked to my friend Michelle, who's coming in June 4th. I said, would you do the piano with me? I record the video, I recorded it here, and you just put the piano to it, and he did it.
That's
And
great.
it sounds fantastic. And I want to talk about Pausa as a community support center almost. It's been very special, especially during this past year with COVID. You just don't expect people to show you so much appreciation and support.
Right.
Sometimes you just say, yeah, they come and they love the music and they like the wine and the beer, but with COVID, and as people saw how hard it was getting for all the businesses, I don't call Pausa clients just customers, I call them supporters. Because if you support live music nowadays, you are a supporter. If you come more than once, you are a supporter.
What a beautiful focus to think of someone, if they come more than once, as they go out to hear live music, that they're a supporter. And it's not only important for the community, for the musicians, for the club owners, for those trying to support live music, because for you it's not about money, it's a passion to really create this atmosphere and support live music. And to think of yourself as a supporter because you love going out and supporting the clubs and the musicians. It's a great mindset for someone to think in that way, because then they become more passionate about sharing, about making sure that they go out on a night where maybe it would be easier just to kick back and watch some TV or do something, that they actually make the effort to get dressed, to go out to a club and to sit down and hear a wonderful live band. And there's nothing like it. Like when a band is in the groove, I remember this back in my old music days as well, you can feel it. When everybody is in that groove, they all know what they're going to do, who's going to take the ride, who's going to do what next. And it's like everybody's connected through the music. And it's not just that way with the musicians, but it's everybody in the club. When there's that electricity going on, and you can literally feel it, it's palpable.
And I love it when people come here for the first date, you know. I like it when women come alone because they feel safe sitting here alone. They just come and sit, and they actually, many times they have met someone. We have a couple of people that have met here and they're still together.
Nice. It is. This is the kind of a venue where I would feel comfortable just showing up by myself, and you're not awkward because everybody's talking and you're out of that loop. Everybody's listening and you're part of the whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what you've created is absolutely magical.
Thank you.
I'm so moved by it.
Thank you.
And I thank you too. Thank you for this interview, and thank you for what you've created here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.